Once upon a time, in a remote monastery nestled high in the Himalayan mountains, there lived a wise and serene monk named Ananda. He was known far and wide for his profound wisdom and spiritual insights. For many years, Ananda had lived alone in the monastery, far away from the hustle and bustle of the world. His solitude had granted him a deep sense of inner peace and contentment. One chilly morning, as the sun began to cast its first golden rays upon the rugged landscape, a young man named Siddharth arrived at the monastery. Siddharth was in search of spiritual guidance and had heard of Ananda's reputation as a great teacher. He was exhausted by the chaos of the world and longed for a quieter, more meaningful existence. The young man hoped that Ananda could show him the path to a life of solitude and inner peace. Ananda, with his gentle smile, welcomed Siddharth into the monastery. "My child, you have come seeking wisdom and solace. I am happy to be your guide on this journey," he said. "But first, you must understand the value of living alone." Siddharth was perplexed. "But, revered monk," he began, "isn't it said that humans are social beings and that we find happiness in the company of others?" Ananda nodded knowingly. "Yes, it is true that we are social beings, and there is much beauty in human connection. However, one must learn to be content with their own company before they can truly appreciate the joys of companionship. Living alone allows you to explore the depths of your own soul and to find peace within." Over the following days and weeks, Siddharth observed Ananda's daily routine. He saw how the monk started each morning with meditation, surrounded by the breathtaking beauty of the mountains. Ananda would sit in deep contemplation, connecting with the world around him, finding solace in the silence. Ananda spent his days tending to the monastery's gardens, meditating and studying ancient texts. He allowed Siddharth to participate in these activities, teaching him the art of mindfulness and the importance of being present in the moment. One evening, as they sat in front of a crackling fire, Siddharth asked Ananda, "But how do you combat loneliness, living alone in such a remote place?" Ananda replied, "Loneliness is not the same as being alone, my dear student. Loneliness is a feeling of isolation, a sense of emptiness. But when you learn to be alone and find contentment within yourself, you are never truly lonely. The world is full of noise and distractions, but solitude allows you to connect with your inner self, the true essence of your being." As the seasons changed and the months passed, Siddharth began to understand the wisdom of Ananda's teachings. He had grown accustomed to the simple yet fulfilling routine of life in the monastery. He found solace in the silent contemplation of the mountains, and the days spent cultivating the gardens became a source of joy and satisfaction. At first, Siddharth struggled with the isolation. The silence felt suffocating, and he longed for the companionship of the monastery. But as the days turned into weeks, he began to find peace in his solitude. He meditated, tended to a small garden, and studied the scriptures Ananda had given him. As the month came to an end, Siddharth returned to the monastery, his face illuminated by a newfound inner peace. Ananda could see the transformation in his young student and smiled approvingly. "Siddharth," Ananda said, "you have learned a valuable lesson. It is good to live alone because it is only when we are alone that we can truly find ourselves. Solitude is not about escaping the world, but about understanding it from a different perspective. It allows us to see the beauty in simplicity, to hear the wisdom in silence, and to appreciate the treasures that lie within our own hearts." With a heart full of gratitude, Siddharth realized that the journey he had embarked upon had brought him closer to the wisdom and serenity that Ananda had embodied. He had learned that living alone was not a rejection of the world, but a profound connection with the self and the universe. As the years went by, Siddharth continued to live in the monastery. occasionally welcoming seekers of wisdom just as he once had. Together with Ananda, he shared the teachings of solitude, helping others find the profound beauty in a life of quiet reflection and inner peace. And thus, the legacy of the monk and his student continued to inspire others on their own journeys of self-discovery and enlightenment.